Welcome. Good evening. Welcome to tonight's session on the leadership conversation. Uh, the tradition, you know it. If you are here, let me know you are here. Announce your presence. Give me a hi. Give me a wave. So thank you. Thank you for coming back. If you are coming for the very first time, I hope that you find this session very interesting. If you're a returning person, welcome back. Now, tonight we are looking at leadership effectiveness at the national level. And in the previous discussions, we had begun a conversation on this topic. And we went ahead and we looked at how the legislature can be very effective. And tonight we're looking at how the executive branch of government can be effective. Remember, government is run by or is composed of the legislature, the law-making function, the executive, the law execution function, and then the judiciary, which is the law interpreting function. Okay, so tonight we are looking at how the executive arm of government can be effective, provide effective leadership, and how the type of leadership that is provided by government at the executive level sets the tone for leadership in the entire country. So when the executive members show responsibility and accountability, definitely they are setting a tone for accountability at all the levels of the organization, at all the levels of the country. But when there are questions about the accountability of the executive team members, then of course everybody has a cause to not be faithful, to not be accountable, and to not be reliable. And so corruption can be set. The tone for corruption or accountability is set at the very national level, at the executive branch of government. The other day I tried to explain how we came about this whole term executive. And I was referring to the olden days, particularly in ancient Rome, when there were state executioners, people who were they were paid to chop off the heads or cut off the heads of people who were condemned to death. And so if you were an executioner, you just had to wait for the decision of the king or the decision of the courts to execute someone, and then you were supposed to do it very well. So when you take the machete or whatever it is, or an axe, or you need to swine it. Now, if you the more skillfully you do it, the better you got paid. So it was job that people were doing, very horrible one, but people were doing that. Now, what is it about execution? Execution means you implement, you execute, you follow through, you follow up on, you follow after. Make sure that what you're being asked to do, you do it, because there's power behind you. That power is not for you. That power is given to you by virtue of the role you are supposed to play. So the role is the most important. The role is more important than you. And so we give you everything. In those days, they need to give you a sharp axe, etc., etc., some allowance if you're an executioner, because of the work, the importance, the criticality of the role that you are playing. Now, so execution means follow through, make sure it works, make sure the problem is solved. So those who belong to the executive group or team in any workplace, they are those who implements. They've got the power to implement decisions. They've got the power to solve problems. They've got the power to make decisions and to solve problems. Get rid of issues, get rid of hurdles. They are not there to complain. They are not there to come and preach to us and philosophize about why things are not working. No, they are there to solve problems. They are there to resolve issues. That is their responsibility. So that's the executive branch of government. But the question is, who are these? What are they composed of? First and foremost, we talk about the president or the prime minister, whatever the title they have in the country that we are considering. In many parts of Africa, we have presidents, okay, that we vote for to lead the country. So of the executive, the president is the first and the most powerful, has got that most powerful, can make tough decisions on behalf of the government. Then we have the vice president, and then we have the cabinet. That's the topmost officials among whom decisions are made, critical national level decisions are made. They are like the senior management in an organization. So the cabinet is like the senior management in an organization. Okay, so from the cabinet, you go to the ministers. Okay, ministers of the various ministries, the regional ministers in the case of Ghana, the district chief executives, the city mayors, all of those people, and they are assisted, they are supported by certain groups, certain bodies, like the army. So the army are part of the executive branch. They are there to execute instructions from the government, from the presidency, from the president, right? And then of course the police. The police are there to make sure that the laws of the state are implemented and that lawbreakers are brought to book. So they are supposed to be prosecuting people for court, processing people for courts. They are not supposed to be taking money from you when you break the law. They are supposed to represent the government, to represent the president, to make sure that the right thing is done. So when I drive to a police barrier and there's a police officer there, that asks me to lower my window, the window of my car, and I lower it. And then he says, officer, your small boys are here. I get disappointed. And I tell them, I'm afraid you are not my small boy. You are not my boy. I'm not your employer. You represent the president of the republic to make sure that I do the right thing. So if you are calling me your boss and you are calling yourself my boy, then the whole country needs help. Because the police are the extension of the executive branch. They are supposed to execute laws. They are supposed to make sure people do the right thing. So when the police are breaking the law, when a police officer is not on official duty, but is jumping the traffic, army officer is not on official duty, is jumping the traffic, the red light is on, he goes, then everybody will break the law. But when they are on official duty, yes, that is acceptable. See, so the police are part of the executive, the army are part of the executive, the prisons, they are part of the executive. When the country, the nation decides that your place from now on until further notice is going to be in the prison, then the prison officers take hold of you and they take you there. So they are all extensions of the executive. Now, the executive also have what you call the ministries, the departments and the agencies through whom they work. So they work through the ministry, they work through the departments. So the ministries and the departments and the agencies are extensions of the executive branch of government. So when we talk about executive effectiveness, we are talking about the effectiveness of all of these institutions that I have mentioned. But you see, the president and the vice president and the cabinet members, they set the tone for leadership in any country. So when they show accountability, when they show respect for the laws, when they allow the system to work, when they don't break the laws that are set, they themselves obey the law, respect the law. It means that they respect the law and they respect the country. They don't take the country for granted. They don't take the citizens for granted. That's very important. So they are not supposed to break the law. They are not above the law. They make the law. We make the law together with them. And we put them there to execute the laws we make. So they are not supposed to break the law. So you break the law, traffic offense, or you go and build in a waterway, you didn't obtain the right permits, and you build your house and it was to be pulled down, then your uncle is the president, or your brother is the vice president, or you have someone in cabinet, you know some big names there, you go and talk to them, and they pick up a phone, and then they call the people, say, please stop everything you are doing on that land and give back the permits to them. And this thing happens all over. Many developing countries, Africa, Everywhere, these things happen. So you are frustrated because you who are in these institutions making sure that the people who break the law, they are brought to book. There's someone up there whose responsibility it is to enforce the law, and who you actually represent at the local level, at the institutional level, at the agency level, at the departmental level. He is supposed to be making sure that people do the right thing. He is frustrating your work. So you are trying to make sure people do the right thing. They resort to that person at the top, and an instruction comes to you: please suspend all projects or all investigations, or all work on this case. Please drop the case. And it happens in many parts of Africa, in many parts of the developing world. This is why our countries have remained the way they have been. This is the reason that our countries have remained the way they have been. See, so we have seen the various people that constitute the executive, and the distortions that the executive members can actually create, because you have access to state power. So people do the wrong thing, they come and call you. I mean, you see someone whose car, the papers have expired, and he's been arrested. Now he's related to some police commander or some police commissioner or IGP or some of the senior people in the police. Just pick a phone and call them, and those police officers call and they instruct the junior officers, please let the car go. And those poor officers have no choice but to make sure they release the car to go. Tell me, why wouldn't these people have the confidence, to repeat these mistakes? Not mistakes, but blatant breaking of the law. Why wouldn't they do it again? They will do it. So when we can allow the law to take its course. And I know with our culture, when you are that police officer, that senior person, and someone is in trouble and they call you and you say you can't help, they say you are wicked. Yes, that's why you need courage. That's why courage is needed for you to do the right thing and not think of what people will say about you. Let them think that you are wicked, but you were not placed there in order to favor the interests, in order to favor the cause of some people. You are supposed to promote the cause of the country. That's absolutely necessary. Now, so decisions that are taken at the executive level by the executive members, anybody belonging to the executive team, decisions that are taken are supposed to be national level decisions. In other words, they are supposed to have national considerations, not party considerations, not considerations based on ethnic basis or ethnic groups, or considerations that will benefit the executive members. No, you are supposed to promote the national good. That's why you have been placed there. Some of the decisions that you have to make, you may have to step on the toes of people, including your own party members sometimes, and sometimes your own ethnic groups. So you need courage. That's why courage is needed. You need courage to confront the wrong thing, even if that is not going to make you very popular. So it's a hard thing to do. Okay, that's number one. Number two, the executives, they also manage the economy. They manage the economy. So they manage the fiscal aspect of the economy, and they do what they call a fiscal policy. Well, fiscal policy is just simple. What is it about? It's about how to raise revenue and how to spend. Decisions on raising revenue and spending and projects that you undertake. So it may be taxation. What sort of tax you bring into the system, and where do you get money from? And for most governments that are bankrupt of ideas or with ideas, they have no other way of raising money apart from tax. So all they need and all they depend on is import. So they import and import and import and import, because they know that When more people import, we pay more import. They pay more import duties, and then they can get more money to run the country. And so for governments that are bankrupt of ideas or with ideas, their only source of revenue is taxation. They can't think of any other thing. And so import becomes the order of the day. They allow imports to flood the local market. They allow the foreign institution, the foreign organization, the foreign companies to compete unduly. Remember, in our developing countries, our local companies are not huge. They don't have the financial muscle. They don't have all the muscle that these big companies, multinational companies from the western part of the world, they have. So our executives, our people, when they are making their fiscal decision about taxation, about import, etc., etc., they should be having all of this consideration on the back of their mind, to know that yes, we have to open up our economy to the whole world. Yes, and we don't have to cosmetically protect our market. Yes, but we need to put systems in place that give our local company some edge, that is not push them out of the market. And in many countries, we not only fail to give edge to our local companies, even if we were to place them and the foreign institutions on the same level, pedestal, that should not be a problem at all. But often we disadvantage the local companies, and we have preference for these foreign companies because some of them are corrupt. They give bribe. Yes, I mean it. They give bribe. They will give you bribe, and then when they turn around, they go and say African countries, African leaders, they are corrupt. But they come with money. And because they come with money, we take their money and we sabotage and we sacrifice our local companies. How serious? How sad? How disappointing? So we get them. And then the local companies get out of business one by one. Our local industries come to be dominated by foreign manufacturers who are importing. And when we get local initiatives, like we have been importing some things over the years, then someone in our country invents a technology to produce that thing. Our leaders, I don't know what is wrong with them. They will not support that person. They will rather sign an agreement with a foreign company that is competing in the production, the manufacture of that good, to now bring competition to the local firm, rather than supporting that local firm, making conditions and situation better, easier for the local firm to be able to produce. Recently in an African country, there was a local person, local engineer that started the manufacture of cars. Cars, beautiful ones, nice ones, interesting one, very creative one, with amazing technology. And they are not that expensive. And so they made a show. They had a public show, and they displayed their car, and they were trying to make an appeal to people and government, etc., to come and buy their cars. Before we knew it, that government signed a pact, an accord, an MOU, an agreement with another car manufacturer. In fact, not just 1, 2, 3, that same year. And as I speak now, one of the companies has started manufacturing cars in that company. And they are creating competition for the local people. And when they bring in a lot of import, and they bring in a lot of foreign institutions or foreign companies to compete with local companies, and the local companies are drawn, they are pushed out of the market, they are crowded out of the market. And this has a lot of implications. First and foremost, the profit that is made does not remain in the country. It's repatriated. Because these people don't come from Ghana, they don't come from Nigeria, they don't come from... No, they come from the West, they come from other countries, and they come to produce, and they make their profit, they repatriate the profit, and they don't send local currencies away, they send foreign currency away. So they have to convert whatever money they get here into foreign currency. That increases demand on the foreign currency and drives up the price of foreign currency. And that is the reason that most of us developing countries continue to have these situations that we have. And don't forget, because of the low, the high imports, we import a lot, and so demand for local currency is high, because governments think that the more imports you have, the more import revenue you can have, and then the larger the size of your tax revenue. So you bring a lot of import, and then what happens is that demand for the foreign currency for importing is high. And because you are not encouraging local production or domestic production, the productivity level at the local level is low, and export levels also become low. So you cannot increase enough, manufacture enough goods and services to be able to export it and get foreign exchange. And so that's the foreign exchange crisis that we have in many developing countries, many African countries. This is the crux of it, because we don't manufacture at home. And often the central banks in these countries, they try hard to manage the economy from the monetary side, but the real economy is out there. It's not under the control of the central bank. So no matter how smart the central bank governor, whatever at all is, he can just do his best. But until the fiscal side of the economy is managed properly, you can't expect a lot to happen. And this is what is killing many of our countries in Africa. And my concern is on Africa. Okay, and so you realize that the issues about import and export, taxation and so on and so forth, and spending is another part of fiscal policy. What do you spend on? How much do you spend? How prudent are you in spending? How is your procurement process like? It is in the procurement that they make money, that the governments make money, that the politicians make money, that the ministers make money. The people in charge, that's where they make money. In African countries, some bribe them. Some ask for portions of whatever comes to you. So you go to a country and you are going to, provide a service. And then the minister you have to see is demanding 10% of whatever monies that you will make. And then you give him that 10%. And so you inflate the price. And they don't care. You can inflate. As long as you give me my 10%, I'm fine. And that's what is killing our countries. That's what's killing our countries in Africa. It's not that we are poor. Our problems are our politicians. If we can fix the politicians, we can fix the executives, particularly in our countries, things will go well. Because they have access to the money. They make decisions about spending. So it's very unfortunate that we have the kind of situation that we have in our countries. And then you have projects, and you look at the volume of the project, and they tell you the amount of money spent on the project. And you are asking, what did this money go into? They will meet. Every meeting, they will pay them allowances, sitting allowance. They'll go to conferences, expensive hotels. They'll travel to countries. Another one, go to another one, go to another country. Thank God for coronavirus, that they cannot move into other countries. So they are stuck in their countries. Thank God for coronavirus. At least some people are stuck in their country. The amount of foreign exchange that would have been spent on foreign travels, at least, has been saved. Thank God. Thank God. But this is the crux of the matter. In the spending part, that is where the money is wasted. But some of these politicians on our continent, they are so smart. They are so smart. They will push everything through the procedures and the policies and everything, and they will write beautiful reports. So when you go, you cannot find any wrongdoing, but they have a way of smartly stealing the money, siphoning money, and then reaching their own pockets, and then reaching their own bank accounts, building property, acquiring properties for themselves and their families and their cronies and their ethnic groups and whatever. This is the crux of the matter. Now, stewardship, like I said, the executives, they don't own the country. They don't own the money. They don't own the tax revenue. It's not theirs. They're just stewards. One of the recently there was a reverend minister that was making this point, that the politicians behave as if the tax revenue is theirs. It's not theirs. So they are proud. I was the one who built that school, who built the hospital. No, you didn't build it. You only supervise the building of it. Sometimes even that hospital, the plan, everything, feasibility study, everything was done before you came into power. So you didn't build it. You didn't use your money. It was built when you were president. It was built when you were minister. It was built when you were DC. It was built when you were city mayor. But you didn't build it, did you? So it is. So they are stewards. They are supposed to be stewards and caretakers of the nation's property, of the nation's possessions. African countries, if we have proper management, if we have proper, good functioning, effectively functioning executives, we wouldn't be in the mess that we have been and we continue to be in. Yeah, so stewardship, very, very, very important. Now, like I said, accountability at the executive level is extremely necessary, because if we see them at the top being corrupt, then we're also encouraged to be corrupt. I have maintained over and over again throughout these discussions that leadership does not take place only at the top level. It takes place at all the levels, from the top to the bottom, to the middle to the bottom, etc. But having said that, leadership is cause. Everything else is effect. I'm quoting from Professor Day. Leadership is cause. Everything else is effect. So the leadership that is displayed at the top, at the executive level, where the highest level of national power is exercised, that leadership, whether it is that of accountability or corruption, whether it is that of sincerity or of deceit, it will set the tone for leadership, for accountability or corruption at all the levels. Years ago, I was doing consultancies to a firm, an organization, and I was to train all their directors, the MD plus the senior management team. And when I finished, they said train all the directors, and then they were going to do a change management team. So I was consulting and training. There was a training component and so on and so forth. So when it came to they called them the principal supervisors. They were training, and then from then it came to the managers or whatever. So come to one of the groups. They said, our bosses, they asked us to tighten our belts. And that means that we should be very frugal. We should be very austere in our spending. In other words, we should be very economical in our spending and should handle the business as if it's our own business. And we should be very accountable. We should cut down on spending. We should even be willing to sacrifice some of our benefits so that when things become better, we will all enjoy. But When they told us to tighten our belts, they loosened theirs, and they were eating. Their bellies were growing bigger and fatter, and they asked us to loosen our bellies. So most of the problems that we have in our countries is because leadership at that executive level is flawed. And once it's flawed, the tone is set for leadership at all the levels in the country. Anyway, I think I would like to bring the presentation to a close, and thank you for being with me. For those of you who are intending to enter into politics, know that it's hard work, it's a lot of responsibility. You don't enter politics to make money. You enter politics to solve problems. Of course, you will not be hungry. Of course, you will not lack. But the objective is to go and solve problems. If you can, see, don't discourage your children from going to politics, but teach them the right thing to do. They've said the wrong. I mean, those who are in politics now, they've said the wrong notion. They have given us a wrong notion, a wrong concept of leading at the national level. And so many people are discouraged. We don't want to go into it. No, that's not it. Teach your children these principles. Educate the youth group. Mentor some youthful people, youth groups, about what to do in politics. Then you push them there, and you're giving them values. So they go there, they change the narratives. Churches, teach your members. In the mosque, teach the people how to go and lead properly, to go and change the narrative. If we don't do that, we don't have a future. And I believe that we can begin to groom the new generation. Those who are going to politics, let them understand why you go. And when you go and you solve the problems, you will never be poor. You won't be poor. You will be blessed. But you don't go there to make money. So we need to change the narrative. We need to change the story. We need to begin to retell the story. We need to begin to reorient people to what should be as against what we have seen. I still believe, I still have hope for my country. I still have hope for my country. I am from Ghana, where God lives. Yeah, God lives in Ghana. He visits other countries, but he lives here. So I'm just joking. I still believe, I have a lot of hope for this country. That's why I still do what I do. I still talk about what I do. I do talk about with a lot of passion. And so please share this video with those who need to know. Share them with politicians. Share them with your networks, etc. And let the message go. And if you resonate with these things, then please do let me have your comments. If there's something you think should have been addressed, which has not been addressed, so please feel free and let me know. Remember, if you're already leading at any of these levels, you can always change. When you change, you stop something. When you change, you acquire new skills and new competencies and new character, new habits. And then you strengthen the correct ones, correct habits you have. So please do change. And I'll see you again, God willing, on Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Remember, all these lessons are in my book called Leadership Stripped Bare. Leadership Stripped Bare. If you want to get a copy, and it's running out of copies now, but if you want to rush for your copy, the number to call is 055-967-1076. 055. One of you can type it on the screen. 055-967-1076. And if you're calling from outside of Ghana, it's +233 55-967-1076. Thank you so much for being with me. Thank you for coming back, and thank you for sharing the videos. God bless you all. Bye for now.